Hello everyone, I hope you are well. This is going to be a video on my lovely Wavestate. What on earth is this thing? Well, if I haven't already started, let's just go for it. Oh my goodness, it sounds amazing. What is this thing? So, the way I buy equipment is I try and avoid buying stuff brand new. I'll only buy stuff secondhand. This thing came up. So the base model of this is about £500. It's a 37 key, quite rubbish action, but yeah, it's all in one. Basically what you see here is what you would get in the portable version. And then a similar version, which is a desktop module, which is just this top chassis took off. Fantastic synth. Biggest complaints: the keyboard, like the actual action, and then the build quality and such. So when I synth this thing for under £700, knowing it's got the Japanese premium Korg synth action, which honestly, for me, it's better than my Wave 2, which I love. It's just such a quick, really responsive, deep action. It's got aftertouch, everything like that. Full metal body construction, which is absolutely awesome. All the encoders and such, rather than being the kind of plasticky ones that's on the other model, they're all metal. And I was like, this is an... Despite its name, a wave sequencing synthesizer, it's very hard to actually call it a synth. It's more of a sample, workstation, I would say, because it's not actually doing much synthesis in the traditional sense where you're generating a sound and then modulating the saw wave, square wave, everything like that. Instead, you're loading a sample of anything, which of course does include a comprehensive library of every single type of wave imaginable, including your own custom ones. And then you can modulate it in pretty much any way you can imagine. So you've got usual controls, so 4 layers, not oscillators, just layers. So 4 layers that you can kind of build and program. Layer of a sound, that goes into your typical filter. You've got loads of different filters on here, most of them being, you've got your Poly 6, your MS-21, high-pass ones, and then literally another 3 dozen of them in here. So you can see there's absolutely loads of different ones to go through, there, even including a multi-filter. That one's really complex. So yeah, great. So you load your sounds getting generated, hit your filter, and you modulate it. Let's just... usual synth control. Then that goes into your envelopes, or however you want to say it. Filter, an amp, a pitch, and a vector. Pretty standard, other than the vector. The vector being the controller for this thing, which that's a whole... you could do an entire video just on that thing alone. Kronos also has one of these, which is very convenient, but hey-ho. And you've then got your LFOs, usual, your filter, amp, pitch. LFO, for those that don't know, it's a low frequency oscillator that basically means if you want something to kind of wobble or change over time, a wave gets put underneath your sound that's inaudible, but it's modulating it behind the scenes in essence. Really simplified version, but so you can even do panning on that, which is cool. And then you've got a pre-effects, which is just like EQ, decimators, guitar amp. You've got loads of stuff there, compressors. Then you got modulation effects, which is all your usual mod style things. So in other words, like chorus, flanges, phase, That's all that type of modulation. Wow, there's loads of stuff on there. Your delays and then reverb, as well as like master stuff as well. Pretty comprehensive. So that is your basic controls. Here's the bit that is going to confuse people. So rather than it being like, I've got 4 layers of oscillators or samples or whatever, instead, the way this works is you've got lanes. You can see my lanes here. Handy, works as set lists as well. This is a good one. You can modulate all that stuff with these. I'll go through those in a bit. So yeah, I'm using these like setlist buttons. Those are also wave sequencing steps. Now, top and bottom of it, to make this really simple, you have lanes of timing, sample, pitch, shape, gate, and then your step sequencer. So that is standard step sequencer. Note 1 plays, here's the value of it. Note 2 plays, you've got like probability and such you can put on. What's the action? What's the note? Is it going to be modulate? You can do loads of different things, right? So this is where it starts getting complicated. So for layer A, I'm going to click the sample lane and notice, hopefully you can see this. Let me try and pull and change the lights. That might help a little bit. You can see these lanes that are lighting up. Hopefully that's a little bit better. And you can also see one of my things that's going to really annoy me. The metal chassis giving fingerprints. Apologies if that upsets you as well. It upsets me, I promise you. So back to that sample lane. So basically this is saying, if I play this, oops, sorry. So if I do this a couple of times, to see how the light is changing, what that is saying is, depending on how hard I'm playing it, this is just how this particular patch is programmed, how hard I'm playing it, it's going to play sample 5, bit softer, sample 3, really hard, sample 6. And in essence, for anyone who's remotely seen any of my other videos about, I'm obsessed with orchestral stuff, sampling, it's like multi-samples and such. All of a sudden, what I realise this thing in essence is it's probably one of the most comprehensive orchestral keyboards that you can build, because it's all just sample, sample, sample. But then you can modulate those samples in at least 40 different ways using the timing, the pitch, the shape, the gate, but that's before you even start touching anything else, right? So the way this particular patch is working, and this is a preset patch, mind you. So it says, right, MS, that's the multi-sample, flute 2, vibrato. And then if I jump through to the other ones, you'll see there, then another one comes in. So on step 4, I've got a different flute. And then within the settings for it somewhere, there will be all sorts of controls that say, trigger this sample based on the velocity. It could be on a timing. It could be just in the lane. So what you can do as well, I'll show you this in a minute, but if you can make an evolving synth sound without even doing anything, because on the initial patch, I'll just turn this on. Listen to this. It's not the most pleasant sound, but watch this. I'm going to hit sample. That is modulating from a sine wave, Jupiter style, into a saw wave. And it's just doing that because it's saying, I'm going to load this sample and crossfade it into the second sample. So if I want to change that, and instead of it going into that, I can do it into a choir. That's quite interesting, isn't it? So that's that layer. And then I could change the sine wave. Oops, sorry. I realised this. Sorry. Let's try that again. I can modulate between these two waves then. So if we come out of that, triangle wave. It seems really silly on the surface. But actually, you can do so much like really complex programming, because that's only using the sample. I can be modulating the pitch, the shape, the gate, up to 16 times, plus then build a sequence. Yeah. Absolutely mad. Really, really complex. I'm not going to pretend I know everything about it, but obviously I'm going to be using this in conjunction with my lovely Kronos to make some fantastic soundscape stuff. So, yeah, that's the thing to kind of come back to is, rather than it being a traditional synth where you've got your layers and you're generating the sounds, in this case 4 layers, you can actually have like 16 different synths and use one of these to modulate and change between the different synth patches and then crossfade them into each other, make these evolving pads. You can do anything you can kind of think of. You can program it. The problem is, first big flaw of this device, you've got all this lovely extra real estate and fingerprint magnet. You've still got this tiny little screen, which is menu diving heaven. What I will show you though is what's very good is there is a piece of software that is absolutely fantastic. This is a digital version of that menu that is way, way easier. So for example, you can see here, here's the 2 samples, and I can just go in here and go, let's do a pad. Let's do new analog pad into pad. These 2. And I go, you know what, I don't like that. Let's do brass pad. And anything I'm then changing and programming, I can be using the software if I'm so inclined, which I absolutely will be doing. So I'm going to go into set list mode and just flick through a couple of these patches and find a more complex one. Right. Here is something that's far more complex. So we've got a pitch sequence going on. We've got some shape, gate, step sequencing, and then we've got 4 different samples. This is one layer. Second layer, we've got something else. Third layer, we've got something else. 4th layer, we've got something else. If you're lost already, that is fine, because this is how I felt when I was like, whoa, this thing is deep. So if I just played this layer, so I'm just going to press the D key. You won't be able to see it with this current view, but let's just zoom that in. There you go. Change the tempo. Do you see how it's running through that wave? Now, to flick back very quickly, if I go back into keyboard, do you see this? It's just visualizing that same data. Fascinates me. If you're into soundscaping and stuff, this thing is insane, right? And whether it's the SE edition, which is obviously the one I managed to snag, you're going for the desktop module edition, which is like a rack unit, or if you're looking at the plugin, they all do the same thing. It's just, I love the hands-on nature of it. So yeah, back to the menu. Bam. Just doing some tap tempo stuff. So I could also just adjust down here. Let's put that to something like that. Let's put it 109. I'm going to put all the layers on them. So you can see as I'm clicking, well, you can't see it, sorry, but I'm clicking through all the layers. Here's how that sounds. Just resetting all the parameters. This should be better. So yeah, mad stuff there. So if I go then into, let's change into one of these other patches, Space Whistle. Let's call the roar of this one. Oops. Here we go. So let's go and whiz through some patches there quick. So this is my favourite one. I love this. It's just so cool to me. Just playing with the mod wheel. Like, oh, just love that shit, right? Absolutely love it. So that's that. And that's the wind one, which I already did the opening. Symphonic strings. What's good with... Oh, this is a nice one. With some of these, how the way they work is they will, on the samples, the reason they sound so good, some of them are varied, obviously, and they sound cheesier than others, some sound really realistic. So the way orchestral multisampling works in things like Spitfire and East-West and all these things is they will program multisamples. Let me just find... This is a perfect example. So they will program. I'm actually going to make this go full screen on here because it might be easy to just show it. So for layer A here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different samples. And the way those trigger is based off of all sorts of things, as I've said already. Velocity, it might be timing. You just hold the note long enough and it will transition on to the next one and evolve. Aftertouch could be anything, right? But with your kind of VSTs and like your really big sample libraries, what they do is they will... If you've ever tried to sample or played a kind of low quality sampling keyboard, they will literally just play the same sample. I'm just going to play C constantly here. You hear how it's changing sample, right? On other keyboards, where there's not any type of multi-layered samples, you get this machine gun effect. Now, obviously, that's got some variation in it, and that sounds... There you go. So, you get this machine gun effect if you play the same note really quick. But with this, because it's got the layers of samples, a combination of timing, velocity and such, it means that it sounds a little bit more realistic when you're playing it. When I'm machine gunning the notes like that, obviously it doesn't sound super realistic. But if you compare that to me just playing the same note and just triggering a sample, it's obviously completely different. So if I go back to my normal screen and actually show the keyboard then. I didn't plan on making this too technical, but I just want people to kind of be able to understand how deep this kind of synth is. So yeah, I'm just going to play something very quickly. Oops. And I've got the mod wheel here, you know. Cool thing with that, it's only 2 layers. So if I wanted to make that even more cool, I could go on here, activate third layer, and I'm going to go into the layer. I'm going to change that to be, let's look at, you'd have to forgive the awkwardness here. I'm just trying to make it so you can see. Pizzicato ensemble. Let's do that. Just meet the other layers. Put the harmonics back on. Of course, I've not done anything with that. I've only loaded the sample in. And let's do the same on the third layer. I'm going to do, oops, getting a bit too carried away there. I'm going to load in a dulcimer or something. See what I can find. Sorry. And again, you know, you don't need to use these menus, but I'm mindful that I plan on using this stuff whilst I'm actually playing properly, so I don't want to just rely on the lovely software. Dulcimer, bam. Okay, dulcimer. You can see here on the menu, it's complicated to look at, but it's trying to give an overview of here's all this stuff that's going on. So if I click on sample, you see how it's a little bit longer. If I click on sample, what you'll probably find if I come out of there. That's fine. Oops. Oh, I've bugged that up now. I've completely buggered that up. My biggest flaw and thing with this, the menu diving is clunky. I say this as someone that's not used to doing deep menu diving since I got into the Kronos, but really crappy that. So there's the dulcimer again. I'll just reload the dulcimer. And dulcimer. There it is. And of course, you can do all the things that you'd expect to be able to do in terms of like layering and changing all that stuff. Mindful of time, I'm going to whiz through some final bits. Some horns. Yeah, it's a flute. Lovely. Dulcimer, New Horizon Brass. This is a preset. Very cool. Bit of aftertouch. And I could do all my usual, you know, tweaking all my knobs and stuff up there. I've not even talked about this section, so all of these can be programmed to change anything. Big, quite comprehensive mod matrix in here. I'll be honest, it is ridiculously complex to the point where I would say it makes even the Kronos look very easy when the Kronos is very complicated. The software is a massive, massive help for that, because I think without it, I know a lot of people don't like this thing for that reason. The menu diving is a killer. And it's a shame, because actually it's probably one of the deepest instruments I've ever kind of worked with. You know, like, it goes beyond workstation in terms of the level of control. But, I mean, you've got to spend hours learning it. It's the same with lots of products, though, that, isn't it? Talked a lot about sampling and orchestral stuff. What about synths? It says it's a synth, dude. Can it do synth sounds? Of course it can, but it's not its strength, because with an actual synth, you choose your wave, or your type of oscillator or whatever. Let me just help myself here. Use the page, shift perform, look for synths, bam, and then let's find, there we go. So, I need to change that to bass. I've put them in basis because I'm silly. There we go. So, here are your synth sounds. And the way I've programmed this, I've followed a preset that it had, is I can change the type of synth sound using one of the super knobs. That is one layer, so I could put potentially 4 layers of synthesis in there if I wanted to, yeah, to make it sound fatter. Yeah, change the sample. Go, you know what, I like that, let's change this. So I'm going to change the cutoff, change the type of filter. Oh, a little bit too much mod, go up. Got loads of modulation stuff going on there that I need to look at programming, but yeah. The way it works to generate synth sounds then is you'd open up a patch and you'd then go into the sample line. This is where people get like really confused. Sample line. Crap, I've just broken that up. It's fine. Initial performance, let's do that. So I'm going to go, right, sample line, sample layer. Let's look at that. Christ, wave sequencing steps. So I've got 2 different waves on here. I'm going to make it so there's only one wave that plays. And then I can just go in here and change the sample. Put some reverb on, some delay and some mod. Let's see. You can still 100% use it like a normal synth, but the workflow of it is just a little bit backwards compared to how you would normally use it. Gonna just then do one final thing, which is put it into setlist mode, and I'm going to play the wave station. Sorry, wave state. This is not the wave station. with my lovely Kronos and show you the reason why I got him, I suppose. Let's go for it. So yeah, what I'll do now is I'm going to play a performance with both the Wavestation, the Wavestate, and the Kronos, and just get you to see the power of these things. So Kronos is here, and I'm using the Kronos to control this. Yeah, so here we go. Gonna just play. Gonna lower the volume on the Kronos. Playing the same thing, yeah. And then I'm gonna bring the Kronos in. Okay, here we go. Let's get the pedal up. Let's go for it. Whilst that's playing, let's... Soundscaping. I wasn't doing anything remotely musically complex. I'm not going to... Oops, let's just turn that one off. Still going. Not going to pretend I am musical maestro or anything at all. In it, I'm complete opposite. Living proof that if I can do it, anyone can do it. But just wow, right? And that is the reason why I took a plunge. I'm obsessed with like soundscapes and just the sound design elements of it, and this thing is just a monster. And I think for most people it's probably you'd steer completely clear of it and you'd never even look at it, but it's just insane what you can do with it, and in the right hands hopefully I will get there with it. But yeah, it just sounds phenomenal. One of the things I want to do, I've not quite got the patches ready yet, but I want to do like lots of quite dynamic staccato things with it. So I don't think I've actually got any staccato patches that I've loaded in, which is quite unfortunate. But I can go and design some and, you know, play some really, really powerful like stuff. So yeah, combine the Kronos with the Wavestation. Oh my god, I keep saying that, Wavestate. And I've just got this absolute... And with that being said, I hope this has piqued your interest, been interesting. I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert at anything I do. I just love going down the rabbit hole, scratching that part of my brain. And yeah, that is where I will leave it. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know any feedback. If you want anything more core on the Wavestate or the Kronos. And yeah, look forward to some more videos soon. Thank you very much.